So in this video, we are covering how to generate $180,000 per month in new revenue strictly from paid ads in 2025. Most businesses that I speak to, and I speak to hundreds of businesses a year, are paying 2 to 5 times more than what they should be for new customer and new client acquisition. And in this video, we're going to reveal how to dramatically reduce your costs through just a few key strategic adjustments. I want to try and fly through as quickly as possible just for some proof about us actually doing this. You can see here, this is Hyros, an ad tracking software, which basically attributes your revenue to different sources. So we know this revenue is coming from paid ads. We have about $138,000 tracked here, and then we had a little bit more tracked via a different payment processor that didn't come through Hyros, totaling about $180,000 in revenue strictly from paid ads. Now, this company did about $700,000 in this specific month, but 180 of that had come from paid ads. So that's all we're going to talk about today. Who this video is specifically for is if you already run paid ads, likely with a budget ranging from 5 to 10K a month, all the way up to about 5 to 10K a day. This is for you. If you, maybe test some creatives, but you aren't as proactive as you need to be when it comes to your paid ads and your digital lead generation. If your ads work, but you wish your leads were a bit more qualified, this is going to help you as well. And if you're wanting your performance to be a bit more consistent and reliable month over month in terms of your growth, this is going to have a few strategies for you as well. And realistically, you probably have some tracking in place, but you don't actually have visibility on exactly which ads are driving sales, which ads are giving you unqualified leads, and what you need to do to get to the next level. So if you're any sort of B2B niche, financial services, lending, coaching, info products, really anything that you can sell via ads, like for example, if you're a buyer's agent or a mortgage broker, this is going to be super, super valuable for you because we are aware of all those industries. We work with clients in all those industries. And this is basically the best stuff that is going to help you grow in 2025. Not 6 months ago, not 12 months ago. This is right now. We are literally generating hundreds of thousands of dollars in new revenue per month for our clients. So here's the thing. If you want more unqualified leads, if you want to scale your ads without losing profitability, and if you're sick of relying on subpar marketers who are reactive and don't actually drive any good strategy, and if you want a clear roadmap of what it's going to take to scale to this level of making hundreds of thousands of dollars per month and beyond, then you should watch this video. There's going to be some really tactical stuff. Quick background on me before we get into it, just so you know who I am and such. We have helped over 400 businesses generate more leads via paid ads and other lead generation strategies like content, outbound, partnerships, etc. But really what we specialize in is B2B marketing and selling higher ticket products and services, specifically attracting highly qualified leads. And the clients we work with range from about $200,000 a year in revenue. And the biggest client we've worked with was about $100 million a year. Again, in industries such as marketing, professional services, finance, legal, property, and more. And again, we specialize in generating highly qualified leads, not just any random leads. So typically our clients are selling products worth $5,000 up to millions of dollars in revenue directly to the company, which means we rely on strategies to attract people that can spend that amount of money on the ad platforms and actually be able to convert from strangers into loyal clients. So you can see here just a little bit of proof, generating about $300,000 from a couple of campaigns. And this was in the span of, I think, just a few months. So in terms of does this stuff actually work, you can rely on that, and you can see some of the client logos. If I wanted to expand this, you'd be scrolling for quite a while. In terms of client wins, you can also see here, not that I need to scroll through too much, but you can see this is a bit of a blurry screenshot, but about $17,000 in spend and about $70,000 in return. We can see here we took a client from $600 cost per call to $480. We can see a 7.3x ROAS. We can see another client signing $160,000 in new MRR in about 60 days. We can see here 168 meetings scheduled from $17,000 in spend at about $100 per call. We can see dozens of calls per day coming in for clients here. We can see Ward hitting 18K cash collected day. We can see 9-figure brands being generated here, and we can see even in the smaller accounts we had 13,000 USD closed with a few pipeline too. So again, whether you're a bigger company, a smaller company, this is just about running ads that get you the desired outcome that you want. In this case, being highly qualified leads. At the end of the day, the core thesis here is that there are 4 steps to a highly profitable ad funnel. If you can optimize each of the steps that we're about to cover, you will be making a profit, and you'll be making a healthy and reliable profit. really not about just getting leads. It's about generating a return on your investment from advertising. You don't want to spend $1 and not get $3 back. You don't want to spend $1 and not get $2, $5, $10 back, because then what would the point be? You're just basically pissing money up the wall, pardon my French. So if any of these areas that I'm about to cover is failing, then your ads are probably going to fail as well. Each step is more important or just as important as the last. And this presentation is going to reveal those steps and also how you can optimize each of them in favor of generating a bunch of new revenue for yourself in the context of how we did this for a client in the last 30 days. So key number one is financially modeling your paid acquisition. This is perhaps the biggest mistake that I see Australian companies make. You run ads, but you don't actually have visibility on the exact numbers at each stage in the funnel. So you might not know your exact return on ad spend, you might not know your exact sales cycle, you might not know your exact cost to acquire a customer or your lifetime value of a customer. And as such, you don't know exactly what numbers you need to hit in order to basically be successful before you even launch the campaign. So it freaks me out when I talk to all these companies and they say, yeah, I don't know my cost to acquire a customer, I don't know my lifetime value of a customer, because I don't know how you would advertise without knowing that stuff, because it leads to a huge lack in clarity and it leads to a massive slowness and a massive drag on your ability to make decisions, and therefore is going to slow your progress massively. So without knowing your numbers, you're basically looking around in the dark, and getting financial visibility is the equivalent of just flicking the switch and turning the lights on. So it's not too hard, but it's massively important. So the biggest question is, how much can you spend to acquire a customer? And the reason that matters is because unless you understand how much you can spend to acquire a customer and what numbers you'll need to hit along the way, you're basically screwed and your decision making is going to be whack. So as an example, let's say a customer is worth $10,000 to you over the lifetime of that customer. You might go into that ad campaign and think, oh, well, my friend who runs this company, they get calls or they get leads for this much, so therefore I need to hit that, without necessarily thinking what their lifetime value of a customer is, what their cost per qualified call is, or what their total cost to acquire a customer is. Because in reality, you need to run these numbers for your own offer and figure out what your offer and your company can tolerate in terms of costs, and then try and hit those KPIs. But you need to make sure that you have those KPIs and they are made to support profitable campaigns, not just your dream scenario. So you need to be in reality, number one. And number two, you need to not just be comparing yourself to your friend who runs maybe a similar or adjacent company. So again, let's just say the client is worth that much, and let's say you're booking qualified calls for $250 each, and your close rate on those calls is 25%. Now you are spending $1,000 on ads to get a client, not including sales commissions, because 4 calls times $250 and you close 1 in 4, that means you're spending $1,000 on ads. Is that a profitable campaign? Well, depending on your margin at 10K, most likely yes. Let's say you spent $500 per call and you're still closing at 25%, so you spend $2,000 to get a $10,000 client. Is that a profitable campaign? Again, most likely, depending on your margin, it is going to be yes. So even with double the cost per call, which some people might say is good, you are still very, very profitable. So before you even click launch on a campaign, you need to know exactly what profitability looks like and exactly what a good cost to acquire a customer is going to be for you. And without knowing these numbers, you're basically just guessing. You have no scorecard, you have no criteria, and you're not going to know what winning even looks like. So pop quiz. If your cost per call stats in your ad account look ugly, but you are still making money and you're still profitable, what do you do? Do you turn the campaign off? Do you freak out because your ads don't look like your friends' ads? No, you leave the campaign on because it's profitable and you test new stuff to improve your numbers. And that might mean a new stack of creative, it might mean a new VSL, and it might mean your sales team needs to kick up the backside because it depends on the stats of the overall campaign, not just the ad account. But at the end of the day, what you need to know is that profit is profit and sexy ad accounts are sexy ad accounts. They are two different things. Sometimes they lead to one another, but they are not mutually exclusive. So the point stands, you need to figure out what profitable looks like. You need to launch with your best attempt. And then if you're in KPI, you continue scaling and take the highest leverage actions. And if you're not in KPI, then you need to stop scaling, take the highest leverage action, and then allocate budget towards a new test. So as an example, in a real life scenario, let's say you're spending $6,000 a month. You need to know, okay, if my cost per lead is going to be this, then this is what's going to happen. If my booking rate is this, then this is what's going to happen. If my show rate is this, then this is what's going to happen. And if my close rate is this, then this is what's going to happen, because you can financially model and forecast exactly what results you are trying to hit. And then when you launch and you get actual data on this and you know what these numbers are, then you can very quickly see, based on the lagging indicators, whether you are in profit or whether you are not going to be in a profitable range, and then make decisions accordingly. Again, without this, you're basically guessing, and it's going to make it much, much harder for yourself and whoever is running your ads, as well as whoever's bank account is spending money on the ads as well. So that's that. Key point number 2 before I run out of breath. You are probably not testing nearly enough ads, and you'd be surprised how often I look in an ad account only to find that there is almost no creative variation. The entire company has basically just quote unquote survived by testing a couple of basic static ads. To put it bluntly, this is nowhere near enough if you actually want to scale, because once you start scaling, fatigue sets in, audiences get sick of your creative, and your costs will slowly start to rise. And if you're not constantly refreshing your creative with new angles, new hooks, new ideas, your cost per call is going to slowly rise. Your ROAS, as in your return on ad spend, is going to tank. And over time, you're basically just going to have this experience of having lower and lower quality leads, and costs going up, and you're not going to know why. I'm telling you, that is why. Scaling without ad creative is choking your growth. So if you stop testing ads while you're scaling, you're basically saying, I hope this one ad idea keeps printing forever, and that literally never happens. So you need a pipeline of really, really good ads ready to plug in as soon as performance drops, and you need to be able to generate those ads really, really quickly while you are in testing phase. So again, if you're sick of dealing with unqualified leads, there is a 99% chance that your messaging and your creative, as in the actual ads, are the reason that your leads are unqualified. Because if you put it this way, when you know the bait, the specific bait that you use is going to determine who you attract. So if you use bait that is designed to attract whale clients, then you are going to get whales. If you use bait that is designed to attract chickens, then you are going to attract chickens. And it sounds very elementary or like a metaphor, but literally in some of the ads and some of the messaging that I see a lot of Australian businesses using, a lot of times they're just speaking to the entire wrong side of the market, and it completely kills them. Their sales team keeps complaining about how bad the leads are, and they can't scale and they don't know why. Trust me, this is exactly why. Because the messaging in your ads is giving bad bait into the market, and you're attracting these bad leads. So I'll give you a client example. Just a few weeks ago, we had 2 8-figure and 1 9-figure clients coming through as prospects through one of our clients' funnels. To get those on the phone, it cost us about $150 each, and all of those prospects came from one singular ad. So now what we know is that specific ad and exactly what we were talking about in that specific ad is something that resonates with those higher level clients, which then gives us the ability to double down on that type of messaging and continually attract better and better clients. Now, we wouldn't know that if we didn't have tracking in place, if we weren't testing heavily on creative, if we weren't being aware of what's working and what's not working, and then actively making a strategy based on that. Keep that in mind when you are testing creative. And possibly most importantly, understand that not every ad is a winner. A lot of marketers will come on here and say they've never failed, they've never had a bad result, and they've never had a bad outcome. That is just completely not the case. Another big reason that creative testing is so key is because each creative will have vastly different results. So we want to optimize our probability of success by, number 1, having as good ads as we possibly can, and then number 2, having as many swings at bat as we can so we can generate consistent results via paid advertising. So as an example, you can see via this campaign that some of the ads are doing really well. They're generating a 6x ROAS. Some of them are generating a 5x ROAS. Some of them are generating a 0.3x ROAS. These ads are absolutely not making any money at all. They're terrible. So we want to cut these ads, which we did, and scale the ads that are actually working. Again, some of the ads are not going to work. That's why you need to test. I think there's a stat that says the top 1% of advertisers test 11 times more ad creative as everyone else. There is a reason for that, because more ads typically on a general basis will lead to better results and easier scaling. So quick tips, so I'm not just telling you what to do. You want to use both static and video ads. A lot of people only use static ads, and you want to keep in mind certain prospects and certain people will be attracted to certain ads. So it is best practice to use a mix of both so you can attract all different segments of the market, whether it's a video ad, a notepad ad, some sort of static. That's what we've seen work really well. Another thing you need to keep in mind is a lot of people will open their ads by saying, hey, 9-figure e-com stores or realtors or Aussies with 500K in super or something like that. That can work in some instances, but a lot of times that is not going to be your best hook or your best angle for an ad. for a few reasons. Number one is it doesn't emulate organic content, so it screams that it's an ad. It's very obvious that it's an ad. And number two, it doesn't qualify on pain or someone actually having a problem or someone actually having an interest. It just qualifies them on the status that they're fitting a criteria. So someone might have 500K in their super, but they might not be looking for some sort of investment, or they might not have any sort of buying impetus. So we want to look for the people that are actually interested in buying in our ads, because we want to attract these people that are interested rather than just any Tom, Dick, and Harry over here. And then again, it shows no understanding of the prospect when we just talk to this kind of broad criteria. So it feels generic, and it usually leads to people scrolling past before watching the ads. So what to do instead? Focus on the prospect's pain, or focus on their current state and what they're trying to do to show that you basically understand them. So what you can do is you can list out what are they struggling with, what are their problems with their current solutions, what frustrates them, what do they want, and what do they crave in a potential solution, and then build your messaging around this, because it shows you understand them and it shows you understand what they want, which suggests that whatever's on the other side of that ad is actually going to be attractive rather than just another sales pitch, which it often is, but you want to show you understand them first anyway. Next, the thing with creative is that you need to understand how Meta works as a concept so you can figure out how to scale. So when you run Meta ads, Meta shows your ads to people who are most likely to convert on the goal that you're optimizing for. Leads, sales calls, whatever, purchases, doesn't matter. And that is why when you first launch, it goes to the hottest people, which gives you good performance at the start. So if you've ever launched a campaign and it's worked and it's looking good, and then a few weeks later, you're like, oh shit, why is this going badly? It is because basically at the start, you're getting the hottest leads, and then over time, it goes down. So as you increase your spend and scale the campaign, Meta is forced to go beyond that initial pool of hot leads. So that means as you are spending more money, your ads are getting shown to a progressively colder and colder audience who are harder to convert. This is why ads stop working, and this is why you struggle to sometimes get leads that are actually qualified, and why you have such spotty and inconsistent performance. Especially when you understand this. So when you understand how Meta works and also how markets work, this is really going to hit home. So Chet Holmes has a framework called the Stadium Selling Framework. Basically says 3% of people are ready to buy right now, 6 to 7% might be open to it, and then the rest are basically either aware but not looking. They might not know they have a problem, and they might not even be interested. They might just not want to buy whatever you have. Most of your ads, when you're spending only a small amount of money, will be able to appeal to the people who are really, really interested already. So they're going to appeal to those hot leads. What that means for your ads is that if your ads only work for that small pool of people that are looking to buy right now, your ads are going to cap out fast, and you are really going to struggle to scale. If you want to push past that plateau, messaging has to shift. You need stories, education, proof, more angles. You need to speak about beliefs, objections, and pain, and not just making outrageous claims. And you're going to need to use a range of angles to appeal to different segments in your market. So it's not actually an optional thing. This is what you need to do to scale, because at the end of the day, you need to understand that each percentage of the market is going to be able to be converted by one specific angle. So there's people who maybe they have a specific belief about paid ads. Let's use me as an example. So there's people in my market that aren't running paid ads right now. That might be angle one. There's people in my market that spend a bunch of money on paid ads. That might be angle two. People that hate agencies, and there's people that maybe they just don't even want to run ads at all, and they just think it's dumb. So as such, when I'm scaling, if I've tapped out this angle completely and all my ads are about angle one, and I haven't run angle two or angle four, which are massive segments of the market, all of a sudden there's a massive opportunity here, and that's where I need to go, and that's what I need to talk about in order to scale my ads. Problem is that number one, most people aren't even aware of this happening in their market. Number two, they just don't understand how to have creative variation. But in reality, this is the key to being able to attract basically as many leads as you possibly can, because people are in different states. There's all different segments. You'll understand your clients. You'll know some of them are like this, some of them are like that. So when I'm speaking to them in ads and when I'm trying to resonate with them, I might need to say different things to attract different people in my market. Trying not to get too complex or too technical with that. Basically what you need to know is you need to use different angles in order to scale. Just as a case study, we had a prospect come through our pipeline. They were running at a $1,600 cost per call. It was unsustainable. They didn't really have good creative. Their funnel wasn't converting. The solution was we tested a stack of 10 new creatives and implemented some conversion rate changes in their funnel. The result was they had a 75% reduction cost per call within 7 days, meaning their cost per call dropped all the way down to $400 for qualified leads. And they essentially went from burning $30,000 a month on paid ads to closing 68K MRR in the following 28 days or the following 30 days. And now, since then, in the last 60 days, they've closed an additional $160,000 in MRR in new revenue in just the last 2 months. So they're now closing about 80K a month in new revenue, which is an absolutely huge result. Next up, key point number 3. I hope you're still with me because this is still really, really important at this stage, because now we're talking about funnel strategy and conversion rate optimization. The funnel is basically what you're doing when you're sending the traffic somewhere. So you're trying to accelerate the buyer's journey and take the lead from initial interest into being a paying customer by progressing them through the funnel. So you send traffic from Meta, from content, from outbound, wherever, putting them through your sales pages and then nurturing them through the sales process. And an example of a funnel strategy might be a webinar, a low ticket offer, a lead form, a VSL funnel, and choosing the right one can be make or break depending on your market. So why this matters is that your ads won't matter if your funnel doesn't convert. You might have a good cost per click. You might send traffic really effectively to your funnel. But the actual conversion relies on everything after the ad. The ad is just the tip of the iceberg. So where the funnel starts, that's where conversion starts. And if your landing page, maybe it converts at 1%. Let's say your cost per click is $15. That means your cost per call is going to be $1,500. Now, if you can get that funnel to convert at 3%, now your cost per call is $500, and if you can get it to a 5% conversion rate, your cost per call is $300, which is a massive far cry from $1,500 cost per call. So you can see that it does matter a ton. So when it comes to choosing the right funnel strategy, as mentioned, picking the right strategy can make or break you. And the best bet is often to look at what's working in your market or adjacent ones and assess if there's opportunity to emulate that, or if there's more juice or more opportunity in making something new. And what that's going to depend on is what market are you in and how your customers typically interact on platforms and what they are used to in terms of a buying process. So for example, for investment style offers, most of the time you're going to run lead forms or quiz funnels. For coaching offers, you might use a VSL funnel, or a lead magnet funnel, or a low ticket offer. For info products, you might use a webinar or a call funnel. The answer in terms of what funnel you're going to use is often going to be that it depends, not just based on what worked for your market, but also for what works for you. Because it might, for example, I have 4 or 5 clients that have added millions to their business in one specific niche that I have in mind. I love that niche. And they all use very, very different strategies, because what worked for one company in that niche might not work for another company in that niche based on a few different variables. So for example, if your sales team is really, really good, you might bias towards a sales heavy funnel strategy. If your sales team is non-existent, you might lean towards something more content heavy that doesn't require as big of a sales team. In the case of this case study that I'm literally talking about right now, we opted for a low ticket offer strategy, and it's been a huge outlier for them, and has led to 10x results based on what was done before versus now. So it's been a massive breakthrough purely based on the funnel strategy that. Now, for some common funnel mistakes, just so you can leave here with some value. If your funnel is not optimized for mobile, it's going to look really clunky. It's going to hurt your conversions a ton, because most of your traffic is going to come from iPhones. If your forms have the wrong kind of friction, or you're asking too many questions or overcomplicated questions that are not really relevant to the sales process, you're going to kill your conversions. This can have a dramatic impact on conversions, like 2 to 5x. If your VSL length and style is mismatched to your market, then you're going to kill conversions as well. So for example, some offers have 2-minute video sales letters, others might need 30 minutes, and the wrong format can basically 5x your cost per call or cut it by 5x. And then again, not running bi-weekly tests on the funnel to improve conversions can absolutely kill you. Poorly branded designs can absolutely kill you, and designs that include too much fluff and not enough direct information can also kill you. So just as an example, if you're running call funnel, something like this is pretty much all you need. We have the offer, you have a small subheadline, you have a video, and then you have a book a call button. Literally all you need for a VSL funnel, and you can add some proof down below. Next, almost done, we're talking about the sales process. So the next bottleneck is, let's say your funnels are converting, your ads are attracting the right people, and you aren't booking calls, you're getting leads, they're really qualified. The next thing that you need to know is not only how to close cold traffic, but also how to make sure that you're closing them in a time-effective manner where you're not going to have to wait 90 days to basically make any money from the lead, because then you run into cash conversion cycle problems, and you need to know basically how to have an impact on that result. So the thing is, even once you've scaled a campaign, you are always battling lead qualification and warmth. And the reason for that is what I said before. So as you're scaling into a colder and colder audience, you need to deploy different strategies in order to maintain your results. And you also need your sales team to be able to consistently close colder and colder leads. So it's getting harder at scale, not easier. And that is why so many people have problems. And really what happens is your sales team basically starts complaining about how cold the leads are. And sometimes people just have such a terrible close rate and their conversion rate is so low that they can't scale. So it's an obvious problem and bottleneck, and really not that many people can fix it. So once you implement what I'm about to explain, your lead should be a ton warmer and your sales cycle should be significantly shorter. So here's the deal: how to manage lead conversion at scale outside of sales training. So you can buy as much sales training in the world, you can get the best reps in the world, but the best way to help your conversion cycle is going to be something called sales assets. So what's a sales asset? You might have a YouTube video, a video like this, a sales deck, a case study, short form content can be a sales asset. You might have email flows, PDF breakdowns, personalized looms, and selfie videos. Basically look at it as content that is going to nurture leads. That's the best way to put it. These are just some different modalities that might be effective based on, depending on your market. So what you want to talk about in these sales assets is specifically the stuff that's going to drive the sale forward. How do you figure out what's going to drive the sale forward? You're going to get a bunch of your sales call transcripts. So if you record your sales calls, this is perfect. If you don't record your sales calls, just record the next 10 sales calls you have, and then upload all of those sales call transcripts into a Claude AI project. Claude AI is basically like ChatGPT, same thing. Either will work. Then get Claude AI or ChatGPT to get a list of objections that are commonly occurring, common misconceptions that the clients and customers are having, frequently asked questions, and also commonly occurring prior states of your prospects. So this will basically tell you a little bit about where they're at before they make a purchase with you. And what this is going to do is it's going to let you know exactly what to talk about in these pieces of content, such that you can meet them where they're at and then nurture them to basically being a client. And this is essentially what sales is. You're taking them from where they're at as a non-customer and then nurturing them into being a client. And the best way to do that is through exactly this, because it's not like you're making something up. It's not like you're just guessing what to talk about. You're literally getting their words that they are saying on these sales calls or closing calls or whatever you want to call it. And you're turning that into content that addresses them exactly where they are at. This is by far the most effective way to generate this content, and in a time-effective manner, because you can do it with AI. There you go, some free value for you. Then once you have that, basically that content put together, you'll need to deploy these assets. And once you have them, you want to basically just get it in front of the prospects as effectively as possible. So you can do all of these things. Hold on, we got a typo there. Do all these things. You want to set up retargeting ads for people in your sales process. You want to get a 30-day email flow with 1 email per day, linking your best content and assets. You want to email them 4 times within 60 minutes of booking a call or downloading anything. Sometimes that's less applicable if your market doesn't like to get emailed. You want to manually text them relevant assets based on their objections or needs. And you want to record a selfie video telling the lead to consume or instructing them to consume some sort of sales asset for due diligence before they speak to you. And you can also create a wins page, case study library, and resource hub to host all of these so that when someone books a call, they know where they can go to get more information on your company and basically get educated. So if you do all these things, you are going to have a much better time than if leads just get on the call and have no idea what you do or how you work, purely from the fact of just not being aware of your company and how it works. So that's a really good. As the final section, in terms of putting all this together, I'm conscious that you have unlimited options here. There's a lot of stuff that you can go away and implement, but you have limited resources. And one of the biggest traps in marketing is that you believe you can do it all. You can just have all this time and get all this stuff done. But in reality, time, money, bandwidth, team, and focus are all limited. So every test run, every ad you build, every funnel you tweak, it costs you something in opportunity costs. So what I'd recommend is that instead of chasing everything that I've mentioned in this video, you need a system to prioritize what is actually going to get results for you and improve your ROAS, and really everything else is noise. So what I do in these cases is conduct a constraints-based approach. What that means is only focusing on the singular bottleneck that is limiting your growth, pretty much. And this strategy comes from a concept called the theory of constraints. So that means identifying the biggest blocker to your revenue goals, fixing that, and ignoring everything else until it's no longer the constraint. Most entrepreneurs pretty much waste time on stuff that doesn't move the needle, tweaking parts of the system that are not the actual problem, and wasting huge resources in the process. So for example, trying to improve your funnel when you don't have enough leads is like fixing a steering wheel when you don't have any tires. So you want to focus on the thing that's actually holding you back rather than the thing that doesn't really have any impact on your results right now. And what that means for your ads is that instead of guessing what to focus on, go back to the financial model and make decisions based on that. So reverse engineer what success looks like. My target ROAS, my cost per lead, my cost per acquisition, my lifetime value, and then track performance metrics across your funnel. Then identify, where am I out of KPI? Where is the funnel breaking down that I need to redesign something or make new tests? And then once you know that, you can focus all your energy on fixing that metric. For example, if you have a cost per call that is too high, that is likely a function that your ads are not good enough or your funnel is not good enough. So what you can do is you can test new hooks, new ad edits, new ad formats to try and lower your cost per click and improve your click-through rate on your ads. Or you can improve your funnel, test a new VSL, add more proof and urgency, or refine your targeting or creative rotation. So there's just a few actions that you can take that might have a dramatic impact on your results. And that's pretty easy once you find the one true problem in the funnel and then systematically cycle through changes until that constraint is removed and pretty much solved. And then you can move to the next constraint. Really what you need to know here is that what we do in client ad accounts is we aggressively scale unless we're out of KPI. So if we're out of KPI, we're fixing a bottleneck or we're scaling. So there's only two states, it's scaling or fixing a KPI. Pretty much that simple. That's what you need to do. In terms of how I can help, for a limited time, we are offering paid ad audits completely for free, where we come in and assess your lead generation funnel. And what that means is we'll look at your creative, we'll look at your funnel, we'll look at your tracking, your conversion process, and pretty much help you identify the main constraint and then give you a roadmap to scale. This is completely free. There's no strings attached. You don't have to buy anything. It's not just going to be a fake little strategy session. We're actually going to go into your ad account. We're going to identify where are your current strategies failing, and then we're going to get you a plan for what you need to do to scale. Obviously, you would not have seen this if we weren't making money from this somehow. So in terms of our paid ad offerings and what we actually do, if you want us to come in and take over your paid ad creative, media buying, and funnels, we do handle that completely done for you for a select number of companies. Obviously, if it's done for you, we can't take everyone. But if you are in a scenario where we can get you an ROI, including our fee, then we will support your marketing efforts. Of course, we run a business as well. You understand this. In other cases, if we can't get you an ROI long-term for whatever reason, we might default more towards a one-time setup where maybe we can just give you a stack of creative. We might give you a consulting deal where we can help you just by consulting and knowledge transferring to your current team. It's really going to depend on where you're at as a company. My recommendation would be to grab a free audit and we can direct you based on whatever offering we have that's going to make sense for you. To be completely transparent, all we want to do is get you an ROI so we can charge you a fee. If we can make you 100 grand and we can charge you 10 grand, then that's perfect. If we can't make you 100 grand, we can only make you 50, then we might charge you 5. If we can't make you 50, then we might not charge you anything and we'll just send you on your merry way with a really good game plan. So keep that in mind. That's really all we do. We don't run one of these companies where we just promise a bunch of results and then not get any. That's not really how we so grab a time below and I'll speak with you soon. Really keen to conduct that audit. In terms of some frequently asked questions that I get, what types of businesses does this work for? So as I mentioned in the beginning, pretty much if you run ads online, we don't really work with e-commerce stores. We typically work with companies that sell something a bit higher ticket, or we work with companies that they're in a financial niche, info products, coaching, marketing agencies, loans is really good. Interested to explore pretty much everything because at the end of the day, it's going to come down to our ability to get you an ROI. And it's just certain cases like with e-commerce stores, if you don't have enough scale is a big one as well. If you don't have a really good sales team, maybe we won't recommend certain things. I like to approach this as the opposite of a cookie cutter approach. Obviously, there are a ton of agencies that will say, we're just going to charge you $2,000 a month and we're going to run your ads, and then they don't really do anything. They kind of just sit there in the account. That's not how we operate at all. We take every client on a case-by-case basis, and then we basically say, hey, is this going to work? Yes or no, based on our expertise, our client base, everything that we've seen in the markets over the last 3 years. Then based on that, we can make a recommendation to you. We might know someone that can help you out better than us, and we might refer you to them. Or if we can make you an ROI and we're really confident that based on all these factors that we're seeing, based on this plan that you agree to, that we can make you an ROI, then we will invite you to work with us, of course, because that's how business works in our view. How are we different from other agencies? Well, that's pretty much the answer right there. Most agencies, pretty much what they do is they say, we're going to charge you a flat fee, and we're going to, just sit in your ad account and just run it for you for whatever amount per month or whatever, and we're going to lock you into a 3-month retainer. We do pretty much the opposite of that. We are only here to essentially generate you revenue. And if that isn't occurring, then we don't want to be involved either, because a lot of times the deals that we make the most revenue from are the deals where we'll charge a base fee and then a performance fee as well. We might charge some sort of commission or rev share or profit share or whatever makes sense for that specific deal. And we make the most revenue from those deals where we're incentivized on the upside. We don't necessarily need to take on a ton of clients in order to make a good amount of revenue and a healthy amount of revenue for us. So it's pretty much the opposite of a cookie cutter agency. It's not about ads. It's not about media buying. It's not about making you a website that's pretty. This is about getting you a return on ad spend, and then us being able to share in that as basically a partner with you business. If that sounds good, then we might be the ones for you. If that doesn't sound good and you hate the idea of getting a ROAS, then it might not be you. So again, in terms of what it looks like to work with us, pretty much what we do is we take the actions that are going to make you money. A lot of times that will be testing creative, testing new funnels, that's media buying. They're the main things that we specialize in, so media buying, ad creative, and funnels. Sometimes that might be saying, hey, based on all this data, you guys need help with sales. We have this sales guy who we've worked with previously. He'd be a great fit to help you out, and we refer you out to them. Again, at the end of the day, our job as advertisers and as marketers is to get you a ROAS. So if that means we need to test new ads, then we'll test new ads. If that means we need to increase the budget because you guys are doing really well, you're getting a ROAS, and we can grow, then we'll recommend that. We pretty much recommend the exact actions that are the highest leverage in terms of helping you grow. So again, it's not about should we make you some ad creative because that's what we say we're going to do. It's like, we'll say we're going to do that if that's going to be the highest leverage action, but we are going to recommend based on our expertise, what is the next step for you guys based on what you need to do and your current stats and our expertise. So hope that makes sense. In terms of why I should trust you over your current team, well, really the only answer to that is I'm not sure you should. If you're getting really, really great results and you come in for an audit and you say, hey, we hate our current team because they're not getting any results, and then you show me your ad account and you're getting great results, then I'll tell you, well, actually, they're doing pretty well and you should probably keep working with them because they're doing great for you. If that's not the case and they completely suck, then maybe I'll tell you that and I'll tell you to get a new agency. But it depends on if you're actually getting results and whatever the truth is. What I believe as a fundamental is whoever can view reality as close as to what it is as actual reality, they're the most powerful person alive. So I don't like to live in fantasy land. I don't like to live in BS land or guru land or hoopla land. What I like to do is just look at the facts, look at the numbers, and then take actions based on that. So again, if your current team's getting your results, by all means, keep working with them. If you need additional help, if you need to figure out how to scale and get to the next level, by all means, book a call with us and we'll give you a free ad audit down below. I look forward to speaking with you. That's all I've got today. See you soon.